When you think about the WWE in 2017, it actually was a pretty good year for the WWE, in my opinion. A lot of things happened during this year. We saw AJ Styles and John Cena put on quite possibly the best match of 2017 with John Cena tying Ric Flair's record to become the 16-time WWE champion. Bray Wyatt became WWE champion. Jinder Mahal became WWE champion, defeating, in my opinion, one of the greatest in-ring performers to ever step foot in the WWE ring in Randy Orton. Braun Strowman started to rise up through the ranks. Oh, and by the way, him and Big Show broke the ring on Raw. The Undertaker seemingly retired, thus making Roman Reigns into already the most hated man, not just in WWE, but probably in professional wrestling at the time. The Shield reunited. You had the Festival of Friendship. So many things like happened in 2017. I mean, even outside of 2017, well, outside of professional wrestling in 2017 was crazy. You had Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada put on that 6-star classic at the Tokyo Dome. So a lot of things happened in 2017. But one major company in the WWE that really stood out in a lot of people's minds was NXT. Now, we all know the whole thing about NXT. It's Triple H's creation. Well, Dusty Rhodes as well. Rest in peace to Dusty Rhodes, by the way. But it's merely Triple H's creation. When you think about NXT, you think about how it was at first, how it was just a horrible put reality TV show that was nothingness. The only real feud that stood out during that time period when NXT was in that era was, well, the Daniel Bryan and Michael Cole feud. That was probably the best feud that they had on NXT at the time. But then NXT goes revamp, and it turns into the NXT that we all know and appreciate and love today. Well, I don't know about right now because apparently a lot of people are trying to turn away from NXT. But there have been some crazy stuff that happened in NXT in 2017. You had Bobby Roode was champion. You had the debut of the Undisputed Era. War Games came back. Ricochet made his debut. EC3 made his, reappearance. Sucks what they did to EC3, though. But, you had a lot of stuff. You had DIY breaking up, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. So a lot of things happened in 2017 for NXT. But the main thing that stood out to me in NXT was one particular feud between two men that are completely opposite. If you get them in the same room, you can easily tell them apart. One feud that really ignited my love for NXT at that time period, and that is the Velveteen Dream and Alister Black feud. When I'm on YouTube and I'm hearing people talk about NXT and I hear them talk about all these different storylines and matches that happen in NXT, the Alister Black and Velveteen Dream is, in my opinion, a highly underrated feud that happened in NXT that doesn't get talked about in NXT. Like, I hardly hear any of the NXT diehards just talk about how great that feud was. All simply because Velveteen Dream wanted Alister Black to just say his name. So it basically started on the September 20th, 2017 episode of NXT. Alister Black was just coming out to the ring, just talking about how, his journey to NXT, yada, 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 happy to be here, happy-go-lucky. But then Velveteen Dream comes out. And, Velveteen Dream, he's sticking up Alister Black, he's sizing up Alister Black, and he wants Alister Black to say his name. This soon goes on for a few weeks. You have, Velveteen Dream attacking Lio Rush, who was supposed to face Alister Black, but it didn't happen because Velveteen attacked Lio Rush. Once again, begging Alister to say his name. And then obviously Alister not saying anything. So he would just interrupt his matches and interrupt his shit, just saying, I want you to say my name. Like that was the whole feud. Velveteen just begging Alister to say his name. And so after weeks and months of begging him to say his name, we get a match for NXT TakeOver War Games. Alister Black versus Velveteen Dream. And brother, if you watch this match was absolutely amazing. I really think if the War Games did not happen that night, because it was War Games, so the War Games match was happening. If the War Games match didn't happen that night, I promise you this: the Alister Black and Velveteen Dream match would have been the match of the night, in my opinion. And it was the match until the War Games match, which overtook the match of the night. But yeah. Now you're probably thinking, watching this video, thinking of this feud, and you're probably in the comment section, and you're probably, watching this and thinking and asking, well, DC, what is so special about this feud? Why is this feud so underrated? What makes this feud stand out? It's just a guy begging the other dude to say his name. I don't get what's so special about that. Why is that one of the best feuds? How does that, compare to the Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano storyline, or the Undisputed Era storyline, or the Drew McIntyre or Andrade Cien Almas finally getting his moment, which is another big thing that happened, Drew returning. But what made the feud so stand out, and why was it one of the most underrated feuds that happened that year? What made this story stand out? Because you just didn't have the typical heel versus face whole storyline, that where heel gets upset, calls out the face is like, what's up, and then they have a match, and then that's it. That wasn't the type. It may have seemed like it, but it wasn't. You had two, and I promised you this, because this was around the time where Velveteen Dream was over as fuck. I know Velveteen, he's obviously not over now, which sucks, because Velveteen was actually really talented, and he could have been something, but we all know the allegations came out, and then the whole shit came out, and it just sucks, because Velveteen Dream was one of those was one of those future talents, but now he's gone to the point where, everybody wants him off TV, everybody doesn't want him on the show, everybody wants him to get released. And we all know what's going on with Alister Black. He hasn't even been seen. We all know what happened with Alister. He's just not on TV. They're not giving him anything to do. It's crazy how 3 years ago, well, not 3 years ago, but back in 2017, these guys were over as hell in NXT. I guess you could say over, but now years later, again, Velveteen's still in NXT, but then again, everybody doesn't care about him. And Alister ain't doing shit. At least his wife is doing Twitch. But again, what made this feud stand out is that you had at the time two characters. And if you think about NXT, like if you really give a deep dive into NXT, the problem with NXT these past 2 years is not the fact that they can go out and do these 5-star matches. It's the fact that they don't have characters. And I'm sorry to say that. Like, it's their lack of character development. You can't just go out there and just wrestle and expect people to go over. You have to have a character. You gotta have something. You can't just bring your wrestling ability to the table. You gotta have charisma. You gotta have talent. You gotta have, promo ability. You gotta have all that. You gotta bring all that to the head of the table if you want to sit at the head of the table, if you want to be at that main event level. But I'm getting off sidetrack here. The point I'm trying to make here, you had one guy in Velveteen Dream who was that Prince-like character, just that all-around smooth type of character. Some would say unique. Then on the other side, you had the Dutch Destroyer. You had the anti-hero. Like, if you look at Alister Black, you can be like, is he really a babyface? Because he doesn't really feel like a babyface. Again, that Dutch Destroyer, that kickboxer, that kick-ass, badass, some would say, that badass mentality that Alister Black carried himself. And you bring them together. And in hindsight, you think, well, that sucks. That's not going to work. But what happened after War Games, it worked. And it got Alister over even more with the NXT crew. And it got Velveteen, even though he lost, it got him even over as well. And obviously, at the end of the match, Alister did say his name, and obviously Velveteen was happy that he said his name. So, again, after this, Alister would go on to win the NXT title. You know, Velveteen was still doing his thing. And, again, like I said, one's not on the main roster, and the other one, well, he's not on the main roster. Well, he is on the main roster, but he's just not shown on TV. So, again, this is it. This is the big video again. Alister Black and Velveteen Dream. Again, I wanted to make this video because there was like one YouTuber, I forgot what his name was, but he put out talking about this feud as well. If you want to go check him out, again, it's on YouTube, so gets a lot of praise. But again, yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyways, peeps, let me know what you want in the video. Let me know what you want to see next in the video. Like, just drop in the comment section below. It can be anything. It doesn't even have to be wrestling. It can be anything. Well, this is a wrestling channel, so if it kind of does relate to wrestling, yes, I'll talk about it mostly. But thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. We just hit 61 subscribers. That is incredible. Again, you guys are real MVPs. And like the video and comment. What were your thoughts on the Velveteen Dream and Alister Black feud? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you care about it? Did you not care about it? Like, what were your thoughts on the feud? So yeah.